Time. Okay, before we get into We Happy Few, there is one thing I wanted to touch base on, or touch base on. There is one thing I wanted to talk about, and this is just like a random thing that happened to you know. This is actually like super distracting. So, ads for free. No. Anyways, okay. So I had ordered clothing online, whatever, online shopping, right? It's a common thing, a common occurrence. I had ordered a couple items, 3 items of clothing. Actually, the shirt I was wearing in the last stream was actually one of the shirts that I ordered. But what ended up happening is I got the package yesterday, and the post the postman knocked on my door and told me I had to pay an additional $57 um, for the package. Okay. So I had already paid the company shipping and handling for 3 items of clothing. Okay. And I don't blame the company for this because the company has been great. When I've asked them like stuff for customer service, when I've, for, as an example, okay. So when I initially got the order, I ordered a size too small. I went into the order and I said, hey, because it hadn't shipped yet, can you please switch the size from a small to, I believe, a medium? I believe it's a medium. I should be a medium, if not large. Um, so they honored that. No problem, no hassle, no fuss, no worries. Okay. Didn't charge me anything for that. I mean, it hadn't shipped. I think that was cool. Okay. Then the package took a while to get here. And when it arrived, like I said, the postman knocked on my door and said, "Hey, this to clear customs, this had to have like an additional $57." I had never heard of this. I had also ordered from the same company prior a different item, same company, same location, same everything, right? And I think I had asked them another customer service question about like the tracking number, something that to that effect. They got to me in a timely and efficient manner. So again, I do not blame the company for this. It turns out FedEx, and it's not just FedEx, but FedEx is the main uh, perpetrator here because I have heard stories from other people. Actually, I will pull this up. I will pull up a CBC article. CBC loaf of bread. FedEx. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah, this is because this to me was a little absurd. Well, not a little absurd. This was worse than me, really. So yeah, so they're like, "Hey, you got to pay $57 right now for you to get your package." And I'm like, first of all, you just expect me to have $57 on the spot? That's crazy, right? Like you're just knocking. Like if this was explained to me like some way or somewhere down the line of the whole tracking and shipping process would be understandable. And again, I paid for shipping and handling, but they're like to clear customs and so on and yada yada yada. Well, okay, first of all, they you're paying a duty fee, right, for it to go through the border, which fine. But then there's like a bunch of like other extra charges on top of the duty fee, which was insane to me. And again, it came up to $57. And I was like, hey, like, I actually grabbed the item from the postman. I was not having it yesterday. I was already in a bad mood. The postman's like, "Hey, by the way, we need $57 from you right now." I was about to fight him, not literally, but I was kind of like being a little like I will take. I was like grabbing the package and being like, "Okay," and I was like, "Listen, if it's true what you're saying, I'm gonna call the number," and I did. I actually went. and try to call but everything nowadays, customer service, is all automated. Nobody ever gets back to you, right? And then I looked it up, and then I found this CBC News article, which I will show in a minute, describing this story because I have to share this with people. It's too absurd. So I grabbed the package, like pulling it from the postman, and me and him kind of got into, it was a little aggressive, but I was like, listen, you're just telling me this. This feels like a scam. I mean, that's what I'm thinking in my head, right? But he's like, all right, man, like if you don't pay me, somebody else is going to come knocking on your door and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, if this is a thing, if this is legitimate, one, you could invoice me and whatever, right? So that was like my whole thing with that, right? It's like, why not send me like an invoice? I guess because there's been like fake invoices in the past, and that's been like another scam that people have done. So people would just like throw away the invoice. But yeah, like the guy was like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, man. Like this is a thing and whatever." But I got the package, I opened it up, and thankfully, this is what kind of warmed me up, to be honest, was the quality of like the clothing. Like the clothing stuff was good. It seemed like I don't know if the company did this intentionally or not, but it seemed like, because they'll usually like throw in some like extra stuff like stickers or whatever, but there was like one or two like extra items, and I was like, all right, that kind of warmed me up a little bit, kind of endeared me a little bit more. And the quality of the items was good, and I was like, okay, I got it, whatever. I had actually been waiting for a check to clear for me, right? And it's like, why is it when you're getting paid, you have to wait fucking days? I've worked as a freelancer, right? Technically, I'm in my freelance era right now. I haven't been getting much work lately, but it is what it is. I should be looking more so, if I'm being totally honest with myself. But what was I saying? Yeah, working as a freelancer, you have to wait like at least 30 days most of the time to get paid. So somebody knocking on your door when you've been waiting for a package for 2 months and being like, "Hey man, we demand you pay right now." I take issue with that, right? So, like I said, I took the package, I opened it up, good items. I was a little more amenable. So, sure enough, the guy's supervisor comes, knocks on my door, and is like, "Hey man, where's the package?" First of all, I didn't like the first guy. I didn't like that as the opening statement, but I explained to him the situation. And I explained to him that I looked this up because I legitimately thought this was a scam. So it turns out this is actually legal, and this is a thing with the border in Canada here. But so you'll see with the headline here. After delivering homemade bread, FedEx charged this London, Ontario man $48 in extra fees. This guy had to pay $48 in fees for a loaf of bread, which is so absurd. This is like dystopian here. So it says here, David Hicks wasn't home when a FedEx package was delivered a week before Christmas. It was home-baked bread sent from his granddaughter who lives outside of Philadelphia. She paid for delivery. So she paid for it, but weeks later, the recipient from FedEx got charged $48.97, including a $25.50 clearance entrance fee. And this is what I mean. It's like a similar situation where this fee or charge is being dropped on you at the last minute. That's like, well, what if you don't have the money, man? Right? I have heard like people comment and say like this is like in the comments here, like people are saying like this is a protectionist thing that our current government introduced recently. I'm not super critical of this government just because I think people are a little unfair. But yeah, no, this is an issue if the government had instituted this and not made this very public. Like there should have been like a press release or something going out about these changes. And I mean, it seems more like these companies. I know FedEx is not the only company because I've heard from other people that DHL and I think UPS also do this as well. But FedEx is the worst offender. FedEx is called out by name here. All was merry until January 8th when Hicks received an invoice from FedEx for $48.97, despite his granddaughter had already paid for the shipping. Right, which is exactly what happened to me, right? So there is the clearance fee from the customs or whatever. It was shocked, especially by the HST. Right, wasn't an item. So these guys were charged for a loaf of bread. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about this. This was a home baked item. So it wasn't like they bought it at a retailer manufacturer. They're charging this man for his granddaughter's baked goods. That's so fucked. Yeah. Like, when we first looked at it, we thought it must be a scam. I was quite embarrassed to call my granddaughter and let her know that we received this additional invoice. Yeah. I mean, I thought the same thing. I thought it was a scam. It just doesn't add up. There's something very strange about this. And what it is, it's the lack of transparency from both the government as well as FedEx. Like, again, I don't fault the company for delivering the item, right? But if FedEx, apparently because they're like, they brokered the deal or whatever, basically somebody explained that basically what it is that they will latch on to shipments that are not properly filled. And basically, because they do the paperwork, they get fees for that to basically clear it through customs. But I did not ask for them to do this on my behalf. If the company or the retailer I ordered from did this, then should the company then not pay for that? You know what I mean? Because I did not ask them to do that. Or they can say, hey, listen, your item is stuck. You know what I mean? Just transparency. That's all I'm saying, right? Because, again, you don't want to be in a position where you do not have money to pay for an item that's showing up at your door. And I mean, eventually I resolved it. I talked to the postman. I was like, look, can I put this on my credit card? I'm expecting a payment in a couple days, but my payment's on hold, man. Why is it that you're knocking on my door for a payment, that I've been for a package I've been waiting for like a month, more than a month, and you're expecting payment now when I already paid shipping and handling. You're expecting the same day payment. If you want, you could send me an invoice and I'll pay it from the invoice, but I do not have the money now. And then I gave the dude the credit card. Then based on the shipping number, the tracking number, it didn't work. Okay? It didn't work the first time. So the guy's like, all right, man, and leaves. Like, he dips out for a second. And then the postman comes back later, and he's like, okay, with the machine. And he's like, we figured it out. And then still. So chances are the postman was told by his supervisor, no, fucking go back and get the fucking payment. What? What are you talking about? What kind of racket is this? You know what I mean? FedEx shipments that cross an international border are subject to the assessment, duty, and taxes, which can vary depending on the declared value of the item during the time it is tendered to us, the statement says. This is a statement put out by FedEx. Further, shippers have the option to absorb the cost of ancillary international shipping fees themselves or pass them on to the recipient. Okay, so so it's like I was saying. So they're passing it on to the consumer. We revealed the details of the shipment based on the value declared by the shipper and the elections made by the shipper as to the responsibility of the payments. We've confirmed that the fees assessed were accurate. Again, FedEx could be more transparent about the costs, right? Okay, so in a retailer sense, that would make sense. This statement does not make sense, though, if his granddaughter's given him baked bread, because then wouldn't she have said, hey, granddad, We had trouble through customs or whatever. So you have to pay like 50 or like $50 for the bread now or something like that. But I don't think they were notified in the process, right? Because like there's a gap there. There's something missing here. Just transparency would be nice. Like, this is a consumer story. This is a consumer affairs story here. So there's that. All right. Hicks said he wanted to share what happened to him after reading a story from CBC's Go Public team about a Calgary woman who was asked to pay an extra $24 after paying DHL $23 to deliver a shirt from Ireland that she ordered for her 10-year-old son. So this is another story. So again, not just me. Calgary mom accuses courier giant DHL of charging hidden fees. For her 10th birthday, she ordered a football jersey for her son in Ireland. She had to pay another $23 for the package before it could be delivered to her door. My item is being held for ransom, Sinclair said. It seems a little dirty until you have my package to tell about all these hidden fees. This doesn't seem to be very pro-consumer, the Toronto lawyer says, specializing in business laws and corporate ethics. I don't understand why the corporation would do something like that. The danger is reputational loss. The risk of turning off their customers. And that's the thing. And then the postman will be like, hey, I don't know. They tried to argue that it wasn't FedEx, but it was FedEx because, like I said, it's the courier is to blame because if they're picking up the shipment, then they know, and they're the one who paid the clearance fee, right? So if they know that, then they can contact the recipient before giving off the final product, and you can choose what to do. You can choose either to pay it or bin it, but to have it in to drop like a $50 to $60 fee on you at the drop of a hat, it's really frustrating as a consumer, right? Like the items I paid for were 3 articles of clothing that added up to more than $150 Canadian. Okay? So I'm already paying a good chunk of change for these items, and I'm paying for shipping and handling. And now you're telling me, 2 of those articles of clothing were like around $30, right? So now I'm paying essentially double what 2 of those items cost. What, like, make it make sense. Arriving in the country and require customs clearance. Okay, well, at least here with the DHL thing here, at least she's getting a notice. So Sinclair says the email is misleading, had nothing to do with duty taxes. It was a processing fee for the company. If it's a standard fee, it needs to be told. I've already paid for you to handle my product, so don't be sneaky about it. And this, as much as the person in the source that's quoted in this article is, lambasting DHL, at least they did this step, right? FedEx didn't even fucking do this. This is the bare fucking minimum. And FedEx did not do the bare fucking minimum, right? Which is notifying the consumer before it ends up at your doorstep that there's going to be an additional fee, right? And yeah, sure, they got bad press for this, but at least there's a degree of transparency. What FedEx did was worse. Preying on that poor man to pay $48 in the last minute. And, he's a senior citizen, an elderly gentleman. He's living on a pension, most likely, a fixed income. Okay? And you're telling him now he has to pay $50 in an unexpected expense? I like that left a big distaste in my mouth personally when I had to pay the fee, right? But I mean, 50 bucks. Well, no, it was more than 50 bucks for me. It was like close to 60. I can absorb that, right? I I have credit. I have some money saved up. I 50 bucks while I don't want to pay that. It's not going to make or break my bank currently, Talk to me 3 months might be a different story. Fees widely questioned. Anger and frustration over DHL's hidden fees are rampant online, with discussion boards and websites like DHLsucks.net featuring customer beefs about getting dinged for extra fees when shipping costs have already been paid. So again, FedEx isn't the only one. And then this is the thing here, right? So CBC News, the Go Public department or whatever, requested an interview. Spokesperson denied. But when it comes time, because I've worked as a reporter, when it comes time to give good press, then they want to make a fucking statement, right? That's always the way it works with these corpos. In a statement, spokesperson Hazel Valencia wrote that the company understands that there can be some confusion when it comes to purchase goods, and DHL process any custom paperwork, so recipients are charged a nominal fee. No, it's not nominal. I mean, hers was a bit less, right? But what they're saying as a nominal fee would be like $10, $15. This is not nominal. And yeah, if it was just, like I said, the duty fee, which even for my item, which was more than both of these stories, the duty fee was still like $10. Okay? She would have appreciated a heads up. We're a family of 5. I can't get surprised for something. I just don't have it in the budget. Exactly. That's why people are pissed off, because working class people don't want to just have an unexpected expense sprung up on them in this fucking economy. Valencia said that DHL's customs processing fees are outlined online and provided a link, but for consumers that information can be hard to find amid the many pages of several DHL websites that only mention duty and tax payments. So, yeah, I do, like I said, I do think DHL in this case is better than FedEx here, right? I do think there is a degree of transparency with DHL. DHL was not the company that I personally dealt with, but they can make it clearer. And FedEx didn't even, send me an email. Hi, Sanikla. Hi there. So, very underhanded. George Mullamutil of Mississauga wrote to Go Public saying his shipment of tea left a sour taste in his mouth after DHL tacked on unexpected charges. The 88-year-old retired environmental biology professor asked his niece to send a favorite brand of white tea from India last August because it's delicious and organic. Okay, fair enough. DHL said he owed outstanding fees on his $22 item to the tune of almost $19. So the fee at times is almost the cost of the item. So it's like you're paying twice. DHL was holding the package for ransom, he said. I had a notice on my mailbox. Duty is owed. You won't get the package until you pay. Knowing that tea and coffee imported in small quantities for personal use is exempt from charges, Mullamutil phoned DHL's customer service department located in Brampton and learned the charge was entirely the company's processing fee. So again, right? So there's these hidden fees, and then they're telling the consumer, they're telling the recipient one thing. They're like, oh, it's a duty fee, right? And then he's like, tea and coffee. He looked it up. Tea and coffee, there is no duty fee. They're exempt from these charges. Okay? And then the company lies about it and basically is like, oh, well, it's a processing fee because they want their money. It's a money grab. They're collecting money from innocent people. I think it's very underhanded. This might seem like a small amount, but it's actually a vast amount they're collecting if you add up all the people this is happening to. Exactly. And if we as consumers do not push back, if we do not fight back, this is going to keep happening. They're going to keep tacking on fees. Have you tried to order from Uber lately? Of Uber Eats? With all the fucking delivery fees, service fees? Please, what's the subject? I think you're talking about DHL and author stuff and their charges, but why? Okay, yeah, I'll explain it, Sanikla. So the reason I'm going off on this rant is because I had a package show up at my door. Well, I paid for a package from a retailer that I had been waiting for more than a month. I had ordered from this company previously, and I did not have to pay a duty fee or processing fee or anything. But yesterday, when the package arrived, the postman knocked on my door and said, "Hey, buddy, this package came for you. You got to pay $57, which was like more than a third of what I already paid, which included shipping and handling." So I kind of got into it with the postman because you can't just expect people to have fees dropped on them like that out of nowhere, right? Like, working class people have to budget. And if you're telling me, $57, it's not nothing. It's not going to make or break. It wasn't going to make or break me. But at the same time, I'm not really working right now, right? And I was expecting a check to clear, and that takes a couple days. So why is it when you're expecting payment, because I've worked as a freelancer, and usually that will take 30 days for the invoice to clear. But when they're, the postman knocking at my door is expecting close to $60 the same day. So I literally grabbed the package out of the postman's hands because I thought it was a scam. I literally thought it was a scam. And I'm like, okay, if you're telling me the truth, I'll call the Canada Post number or the post number, and I will confirm that this is in fact legitimate. I mean, he didn't want to give me the package, but we kind of got, eventually he let go of it. And, with dealing with these sorts of entities, they no longer have like a customer service person. It's all automated now, so you can never reach somebody, right? Or they tell you to go on an app or email or whatever, do it all online. And that's when I came across this article, the CBC article. So you weren't here for this, but this is a CBC News story where this guy had to pay for his granddaughter's homemade bread. So after delivering homemade bread, FedEx, which was the company that charged me money, charged this London, Ontario man $48 in extra fees. His granddaughter paid shipping in the US, but he's now being charged entry fees. So his granddaughter, this is even worse. His granddaughter baked him bread. She lives in the United States, sent him the bread. She paid for the shipping and handling. And when he received it, FedEx knocked on his door and said, "Hey man, you have to pay close to $50 to receive a baked item that your granddaughter sent to you. Make it make sense." $75 USD is too much to charge. I guess your box is cheaper than that, or around 75. Yeah, I mean, it just became a whole thing. Like, I didn't like it being dropped on me in the last minute. And the point I was kind of like, I was going through this related story of DHL, where FedEx doesn't even send an email to tell you that you're being charged an additional fee. This company, DHL, is another company that emailed this person, this woman, this is a Calgary woman, who paid for her 10-year-old son, who lives in Ireland, his football jersey. She bought him a football jersey. And the football jersey wouldn't be let go until she paid $23 or whatever. But at least she got an email here basically saying, "Hey, we have your item. To clear it through customs, please pay the $23.25. Now, again, the fees are different amounts, but it's about the principle, right? It's about being a consumer and feeling that these companies, these courier services, are just doing money grabs to people because of the lack of transparency. And that's what's so frustrating about it. And then again in the same article, so this is the tea, and this guy basically he was charged for tea bags that he asked his niece to send him, where he paid $22 and he had to pay $19, almost the amount of the item. And this guy, he was smart because he knew that tea and coffee imported in small quantities for personal use is exempt from duty charges. So the company told him that he had to pay a duty fee when it wasn't actually a duty fee. It was the courier service bullshit processing fee. You know? So, yeah, that's essentially why I got into that whole rant. So I hope that answers that question. Yeah.